Remarkable end to an extraordinary football match, and we will go through it blow by blow, but let's just focus on that winning moment. I think it felt like at 2-2 we'd seen the last of the drama, but no.
Well, if there was going to be any drama, it felt like it would be a Newcastle goal. There were set pieces at the end, and I mean, it feels like this was the only time when we look at the goal when Liverpool had almost a period of possession of pushing Newcastle further back. Arne Slot had made his substitutions. And what Liverpool end up doing is they end up getting players, as you should always do, between the midfield and the opposition's back foot, especially when you've got the extra man. That's what you do. You just keep making passes, simple passes, until you get someone in a really dangerous area. Newcastle obviously probably still wanting to win the game. They got the crowd up and they get really aggressive in this midfield area here. So they get tight there. Now, you could say, have they got too tight? But if they win the ball there, as they had been doing all night, Thierry, maybe they go on the counter-attack. Yeah. But that means that they've enticed a couple of players in, Liverpool, so then they've got the space between the lines. And you see the space there for that man, Chiesa, in acres of space. As we just said, the players between the lines, and then they get outnumbered because 2 or 3 of the midfield players jumped. I think it was on Gravenberch. But Mo Salah will get the assist, but the assist is Dominic Szoboszlai, who was absolutely outstanding in this game tonight, playing it right back.
Talk to me, Thierry, about the composure that this young man shows. 16 years old, his Premier League debut, and as soon as Szoboszlai steps over it, he knows this is his moment.
Composure, the ball is coming well on the ground, Szoboszlai knows he's there, but you know, you're like, oh, if I score, this is going to be amazing. Look, it slows down. It bounces a bit, and then guide it. He does guide it, and then you can enjoy it. I mean,
but it seems that there's so much conviction about that strike.
Oh, you have to be, but the ball is inviting, though. And you also coming the right way. Everything was perfect for you to hit the target and score. And then obviously, if he did put it in, we're talking about it, he could have missed it. But you know what? You know what I liked about him, Rio, is as soon as he came on and he had the ball, he went straight away to play his 1v1. There was a 1v even 3. He didn't care. He took the ball at desire, will, and he got his reward at the end, being high and wide, and the awareness of the team, bodies between the line. But again, I'm with you. You don't have to touch a ball to have an assist for me. What he did, he moved everybody. Not everybody, obviously, but the right back away to make sure that he could free Rio Szoboszlai there. It has to be his assist, or at least 2 assists.
It's this historic moment for Liverpool Football Club. Not the fact that they've won a game so late on. They've done that hundreds of times. But this is their youngest scorer in history, Jamie.
Wow. It's difficult to create history at Liverpool because, you know, the club's got such great history. But for a young man, and listen, it's been the weekend of young players coming in. You obviously think of what Arsenal had with Darwin coming on. But there's been something about this lad in pre-season where Liverpool supporters are getting really excited. And Luis Diaz has moved on. He was the competition with Cody Gakpo on the left. And there's a feeling of Liverpool need to replace Luis Diaz. But what do you do when you've got a young player like this? That is definitely going to be in the minds now of the Liverpool hierarchy in terms of what they do in the next week. Because when someone has an impact like that as such a young player, that's just not enough now. I mean, I'm not talking about him playing every week, but he's shown himself in a big moment, high-pressured moment, composure at such a delicate stage of the game. You can't not see him now on the bench and coming on in games, for the next 2 or 3 months. So he's got to be involved.
Does he need to play?
Oh, play? It's a bit early. for the playing, but he announced himself. Playing, it's a bit early, but I'm very happy for him being able to finish like he finished. He looked like a player that I've been playing for a very long time. How composed he was. I love the celebration, but like I said, as soon as he came on the field, he had that desire, that will that he wanted to change the game.
Hold it! Lucky Redman! Oh my God! Football! What a game! Szoboszlai let it go. Oh my God! What is going on? Is this one of the greatest games in Premier League history? Am I going too big there?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but it's certainly one of the games of this season so far.
Football, it's what it does to you. It gets the juices flowing.
You did say it got pretty lively in here. Thierry and I enjoyed watching that from afar. Let's take you all the way back to the first goal. And for context as well, this came against a run of play. Newcastle were right on top in that first half.
Newcastle were outstanding. Virgil van Dijk said in his interview he knew what was coming, but they didn't handle it at all, Liverpool, and they were very fortunate not to be 1-0 down at this stage. And then, listen, how often have we seen this in the Premier League era? A team under pressure, the team don't score, they don't capitalise, and then they find themselves 1-0 down. Something the manager mentioned before the game in his interview with us about sometimes Newcastle going into that deep block, maybe not getting out to people who take shots on the edge of the box. So Ryan Gravenberch, who, listen, been sorely missed, certainly last weekend, comes into the team and does something that we don't normally know.
It touches yeah.
Just takes it away from Nick Pope, doesn't it? Gives him zero chance. And really, this happens right on the cusp of the end of the first half.
And we're going to have to be honest, at that moment, Gordon was the best player on the field by a distance.
Did it feel like at that point that this was the end of the game for Newcastle United? A goal down and a man down.
What I thought, and Jamie thought also, is like, we had a good game. Now it's going to be maybe a team going low, defending, that's going to kill maybe the intensity of the game, but obviously we all know that didn't happen. But it's very difficult to say that that's not a red. It is a red.
There's not too much to be negative about Newcastle tonight. That's what all the lads will be looking at him. Anthony, as Thierry said, he was outstanding. And normally when you see someone sprint like that, I was asking the lads to take the video back. Has something happened a minute before? He's had a bad foul and he didn't get one or something, because...
Might they reflect they were just a bit too revved up?
Listen, that was always going to be a problem. A lot of the times when Liverpool go to Everton, that normally happens. We'd go into derby games thinking, these will get a man sent off, keep your heads. And that was definitely a feeling from all of us here today, right throughout the day. Newcastle have got to be careful with getting a red card. I thought it'd be one of the midfield three, not one of the front three.
Just as the players emerged the second half, I was asking you, Thierry, is there a way back here for Newcastle United? And it certainly felt like 20 seconds into the second half.
It proved me right, because I was like, there's no way they can come back into it and stuff. And like, I was like, Szoboszlai going to go in midfield, they're going to control the midfield. And then, maybe Elanga can do something on the counter, and then this happens. Gakpo goes inside, shoots, ricochet. Now he gives the ball on the platter for
Ekitike.
But make no mistake, the way he did finish that is outstanding.
Looks like he's a goal scorer, Thierry.
Yeah, it is. Look, at Reims, he was outstanding. I mentioned it already when he went to Paris Saint-Germain, not maybe, when you have to play in front of Neymar, Messi and Mbappe, you're obviously going to be on the bench, unfortunately for him.
3 goals now, certainly the one in the Community Shield and that one. The finish is outstanding, but they're like passes. It's not like just like he's just hit the ball. It's like he's picked that spot out. He did the same in the Community Shield. I mean, is this a feature of his game? Is this what we've got to get used to watching him?
Yes, and also what I like about it is, sometimes when there was a ricochet just before you shoot, or, the one also he scored at Anfield where the ball... Yeah. He kept his composure. Although there was luck in the build-up, he kept his composure, aim, and I finish. This is how he does finish, and hopefully for you he can do more than that.
The first Liverpool player to score in his first 3 competitive matches, Community Shield, first 2 Premier League games since Daniel Sturridge.
Oh, since, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Our friend Daniel. Right, the comeback then. The unexpected comeback. Where did it come from?
Long throw. And listen, long throws have been a feature of this Premier League season, the first 2 weekends. Everybody is doing. I don't think there's a team who have not taken a long throw of yet. But, I mean, I must say, when we're talking about new players coming in, we're talking about Ekitike, the start he's made. Carragher has made a really poor start to his Liverpool career. He found it really difficult in the first game against Bournemouth, a little bit nervous. He was up against Elanga today, not easy. But this is not enough. You've just got to go and head the ball. And he's almost just trying to stop the play. I mean, that is really, really poor. He's not the biggest, but you've got to jump, you've got to challenge in that situation. I said before about, in some ways, that was one of the worst ways to win. Liverpool's performance was so poor. 11v11, it was poor. Arnie started talking about the duels in the game. They lost a lot of duels. At one stage, I remember Anthony Gordon winning a header against Canate in the first half. Yes. And you're thinking, that can't happen. Liverpool's front 4 really found it tough up against, that back 4, people coming behind them and being strong and aggressive. But the biggest problem I felt with Liverpool tonight, when they had the extra man they were almost just keeping the ball like there was a minute to go and going back to the goalkeeper. You have to go for the next goal because, as I kept saying to you, all it needs is a long throw or a set piece. And that's exactly what happened. Liverpool was so poor on the ball, really, really poor. But listen, credit to Newcastle and exactly what they deserve. But this is the point we're going to look at here now on the free kick, what Thierry mentioned to the Liverpool manager, Arne Slot.
Where would you then, based on the first half and what we've seen through the game, where would you have expected that line to be?
Not so much on the first half. There's a different. It's where you think the line's right. I'm actually watching Liverpool now, and for the majority of free kicks, I think they're too deep. I think the right line is probably around about there. And you used to have you go high a lot of the time to give space maybe for your goalkeeper, yeah. Now what was happening when teams were going high was the fella on the ball was looking at the space he could put it into. Now it almost looks like Liverpool have gone a very Italian way. If you still watch games in Italy and in Serie A, teams on wide free kicks are almost in the box. Yeah. So Liverpool now are going right into the box on the wide free kicks. We maybe got a couple of clips, but that's probably the line where I would be. As soon as we look, listen, we're going to get to the free kick now, but there's people for Liverpool who've made a really poor start of the season. Mo Salah's one of them, even though he scored a goal and got an assist. Kanate is another one. He has been all over the place. Now you want your centre-back to go and win that header. He's going backwards, but he still should deal with that. He's up against Dan Burn, and then Gravenberch goes on the run. But it felt like it was coming.
If you're in Eddie Howe's situation right now, Thierry, what are you saying to those people above you about Alexander Isak?
I think he's been saying to them since the beginning that he has to stay. We all know that, but sometimes when you are the club and you're a manager, it's out of your hands. What's happening when it's in the hand of what's happening above. But you know, the solution might be him staying. I said before, and I will say it again, it looked like the best thing for everybody was for him to leave. I said if he apologized and come back, maybe he can stay. But because of the situation of what happened tonight with all the injuries, even more so now, you know, that you have him, make him stay.
Do you sense there might be a strengthening of Newcastle's resolve? Jamie, we saw the powers that be, pitch side at full time, consoling Eddie Howe.
I think there'll be a feeling amongst the supporters that Liverpool have just done us in the last minute. They're not getting our man. That type of feeling. I think Anthony Gordon now being out for 3 games probably doesn't help the situation in terms of maybe Liverpool getting the hands on him. But I think it all comes down to if Newcastle could get 2 forwards in this week. They put a bid in for Larson, you mentioned, before the game. So they're obviously looking to bring those players in. I think if they bring 2 forwards in, I think they do sell them to Liverpool and get the money in. Because what they've got up there, and since Eddie Howe come in, it's something pretty special in terms of that connection between the sort of, I mentioned the pitch and the crowd. It goes back to sort of Keegan days, and Keegan's teams didn't win a trophy. This team have won a trophy. You see that fight in the second half. They can't have someone between now and maybe the next transfer window diminish that. And if he's not willing to sort of give it everything, and he's saying he's injured when he's fully fit and he's not training right, there's a cloud over your club. And Eddie Howe will be getting asked about that press conference after press conference. I actually think it's in the best interest of Newcastle to sell him to Liverpool. And that's not me as a Liverpool fan, because I'm not 100% with the Isak transfer. I've said that before. I'm thinking from a Newcastle point of view, my experience in those situations, get your 2 strikers in and get as much money as you can and keep creating that sort of atmosphere and intensity that they've got right now.
So do you think what happened tonight, because you lost Gordon, because, you know, the injuries, and do you think that doesn't change a tiny bit the situation?
Maybe a little bit the Gordon situation, but I know the fans emotionally...
Yeah. But those emotions could be in the boardroom as well, Jamie.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, listen, they might be, but I'm thinking from Eddie Howe's point of view, everybody gets emotional, and I totally understand that. Liverpool's an emotional football club. That's why the passion for the game is so strong in both cities. But Eddie Howe's the one who's going to have to be going in those press conferences twice a week, getting asked about Alexander Isak all the time, and about a player who's probably not involved in his team.
Maybe in a week's time, when the transfer window is shut and Alexander Isak is still at St James's Park, it might be because of the meeting that happened this afternoon. We don't know. Maybe
or tonight,
they got in front of him and convinced him they would offer him a new contract. Maybe that's been presented to him already. Maybe there is talk of release clauses within that.
Thierry, you said earlier on, and we've had this at Liverpool, by the way, with Luis Suarez, I think almost like apologising and coming back into the fold. You said he could apologise and be taken back. But you sometimes think when a player's gone that far the other way against his teammates and his club for, say, making promises they haven't kept, do you think a player, when he's gone that far, will apologise and say, I was in the wrong?
Look, I do believe you. We've been in dressing rooms. I will accept it. I made mistakes in my life. If someone is honest enough and can do it and say, look, I wanted to leave, it didn't happen, but I will be fully committed to the cause, I'm sorry, then
I'm not talking about his teammates accept him. I think teammates would accept him. I'm talking about himself. Do you think the fact how far he's gone against his own club, do you think he'd be big enough to say, I got this totally wrong and I was out of order?
Look, I've seen it before. I've seen guys that really wanted to stay and look, are going to stay, and then they couldn't go over it because they didn't really accept the decision that they've taken. They were sorry, but they didn't accept it, if you know what I mean. But if you go back to, I've seen players that missed a transfer window. I remember Luis Suarez was supposed to go to Arsenal. Right? He didn't make it that way. He stayed, and he had a great season. So I do believe that at one point he needs to have an honest discussion with himself. And you know, sometimes agent gets involved, and I don't know what gets involved. Your family gets involved. At one point, you need to sit in a room and have an honest discussion with yourself. What do I want?
But ultimately, Thierry, a lot went against Newcastle tonight in the sense that they were without Isak. They lose Anthony Gordon for a red card. They are 2-0 down. They've had injuries to players as well. Yet they found their way back into this football match. Is that what they should take away from tonight's experience? That spirit?
Yes, of course. But the coach said it. Like it's very difficult to take this one. What you want is the points. You want the points. And yes, after that, you're like, if you lose, you can lose like that. But ultimately, what you want is points. And I've seen that before. I've seen that crowd being able and that team being able to turn around a game. I remember Arsenal being 4-0 up there and the game finished 4-4 in 20 minutes or whatever it was. So I've seen that before. But the situation of having the Isak situation, losing that game, didn't start well against Villa, although they played really well. But you played 2 games really well, but you have nothing to show at the end. And you have injuries at the end. Sorry, Jim.
The manager's more important than Isak. What they've got in the job that manager's done at that football club, he is a special manager. I'm not just talking about for Newcastle, I'm talking about managers in the Premier League. The job he's done there from where they were to where they are now. I'm not saying they're going to lose the manager, but if you're talking about players or manager going, he's much more important than Isak.
Look, if Isak stays, we all know that he's going to have to get the heart of the Newcastle
fans
back. Some of them, I'm sure are like, okay, we understand, maybe not a lot, in all fairness, but it is doable. I've seen that before, and at the end of the day, you don't want a player like that, not on the field, not being well, but at one point you have to be honest with yourself and stop listening to what's happening around you.
I wish I had a crystal ball. See how it all panned out over the next 7 days. It's going to be absorbing, not just the story at Newcastle United. I think there is still plenty of Premier League clubs that feel there is a lot to do in and out. Next weekend, Newcastle United back in action. They head to Ellen Road. Leeds with a winning start at home against Everton. 5-0 defeat as well at Arsenal, remember. That's next Saturday at 5. Super Sunday. You'll be getting used to this by now. 2 games kicking off at 2. Manchester City head to Brighton, who are looking for their first victory. And Nottingham Forest take on a West Ham United side looking for their first points. And how about that at 4 o'clock? Liverpool and Arsenal. I'm afraid, Thierry, we ran out of time to talk about Arsenal. We promised it to Arsenal fans. We'll have to make it up to them next time.
I just wanted them to watch the show.
You're on. And also next Sunday night, 6:45, thoughts turn to Aston Villa Crystal Palace.